Welcome to the Kingdom Corner. I'm Andrew. Dale's not with us today, but hey, it's still going to be a great episode. Lots of things to recap in the Chiefs versus Ravens game. So we're going to be going over Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, their breakout games. I mean, has Travis Kelce, has he lost a step? Is he past his prime? And our other team is going to start targeting Nick Bolton to match up with their tight ends who got torched against Isaiah Likely. So all this and more coming right up.
Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking right side. He wants it. A comeback cut. It is caught by Kelce. Touchdown! Kansas City. The game is over. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions.
How about those Chiefs?
All right. So first off, Dale and I were able to go to this first game of the year to drop the banner for the championship, Kansas City Chiefs, in this last Super Bowl. The atmosphere is electric. Couldn't have asked for a better game, honestly. So there was lots of enthusiasm, lots of just lots of stuff going on there in the crowd, lots of energy. So it was a great atmosphere to be a part of. The Ravens came in. Man, first off, what a tough matchup to start the season, right? Getting the Ravens, who we just played in the AFC Championship game, getting them for the first game of the year. I mean, not an easy matchup to start with. And so these games always tend to come down to the wire for whatever reason. They just match up really well. I mean, started with the Ravens score, Chiefs score, and it's like, man, is this just going to be a track meet back and forth, or none of these defenses is going to be able to hold up? And then all of a sudden, some defenses started showing up, offenses stopped making plays, and then we didn't know what was going to happen. So let's start with the defense this week, though. So, like we talked about just a second ago, Nick Bolton was matched up against Isaiah Likely in coverage a lot, and that was not a good matchup for us. Nick Bolton was getting torched over and over. That long touchdown pass to Isaiah Likely was right over Nick Bolton, so just not a good showing for him, but I'm not too worried about it because honestly, some of that's just matchup problems, and I think that Steve Spagnuolo, Spags here, he's going to figure some of that stuff out and put his guys in better position, whether he has to help over the top if something like that comes up again, where a linebacker's dropping back in coverage against a tight end. But I don't think that's something too much to worry about going forward unless we're not able to adjust. Then maybe it is something to worry about. But as for right now, not that likely. So, but the plus side is Nick Bolton did have a few big plays. The biggest one, the very last play of the game, Ravens are going down trying to not just tie the game, they're trying to score a touchdown and go for two to win the game. And on that very last play of the game, they're running out of time, and the throw by Lamar Jackson to Isaiah Likely, the back of the end zone, he catches it, but then Nick Bolton is there to force him out of bounds. And as we saw from the replay, he was only out by a toe. And so I've never been more thankful that God created people with toes in my entire life. So thank you, Jesus, for creating us with toes. We're going to take something like that all day, every day. So, but Lamar Jackson, had some times that he was electric in the game and times that he was just missing things, right? And so on that last drive in particular, they had two shots, even before that one that went out of bounds, where they had guys open in the back of the end zone that Lamar just missed them completely. And one that was really close to Zay Flowers, and Lamar even said, "Oh, that one wasn't even intended for him." It's like, if that wasn't intended for Zay Flowers, I hate to break the news to you, then you're even worse than I thought, because Zay Flowers was the only guy even close to it, and it was not even close to him. So good luck, I guess, right? So, but the thing that really gets me is, like, after the game, like, the Ravens start making these comments towards the Chiefs and about the Chiefs, and I understand the emotions of the game, just getting so close to winning. Think you won, goes to review, find out that you're barely out of bounds. And first off, whether you're out of bounds by 3 feet or by 3 inches, it's still out of bounds. If you're on the white line, it's out of bounds. That's how the rule works. It's how it's read. It's how it's always been applied. I don't know why there's much debate about whether he was in or not amongst the Ravens, at least at that point, because he was clearly out of bounds. When he's touching the line, he's out of bounds. But Lamar Jackson said after, he's like, I thought it was a touchdown then, and I still think it's a touchdown. So I'm not sure if he didn't see the replay, or if he doesn't understand the rule, or if he's just caught up in the emotions. But either way, that's not good. But the one that really got me was Isaiah Likely, right? He said something after the game. He said That for sure wasn't our best showing. Said if that was the Chiefs' best showing, then good luck in the playoffs. I don't know about you, but maybe Isaiah likely forgot that we're talking about the back-to-back Super Bowl champions here. It'd be one thing if he's saying this to a team that struggled to make the playoffs or even hadn't made the playoffs in years, but we're talking about the back-to-back world champions, Kansas City Chiefs. Like that's just motivation for Mahomes and these other guys that when they meet again, it's like, oh, I remember what they just said. Like we talked about this before, but Mahomes doesn't even need motivation. He doesn't need to make it up, that is, because people just tend to give him motivation and give him little things that they say about him or about the team that are just going to motivate him. And that's one of those things that if the Chiefs and Ravens do end up facing off again in the playoffs this year, that's going to be one of those things that they're going to be looking back to is this comment by Isaiah Likely saying good luck in the playoffs. That that's just not a good look for him. So, but moving on with the defense. So they contained Derrick Henry for the most part, which I thought they did pretty well with overall. So Derrick Henry, uh, man, he actually had not too bad rushing yards per attempt. I think he had 3.5 per attempt. But the main thing was like the Ravens stopped running the ball in the second half. Like the very first drive, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are like running all over the Chiefs and they score a touchdown with it even. And they still ran the ball a little bit after that, but for the most part, they weren't even running. Like Derrick Henry only ran the ball a total of 13 times in that game. If I'm the coach and I have Derrick Henry on my team, he's for sure not running it 13 times. He's going to be running it closer to 20, if not closer to 25 times, but probably 20 at least. And you're telling me that, yeah, Derrick Henry on your team, he only runs it 13 times. Like Derrick Henry's known that as the game goes on, he doesn't lose anything. He keeps going hard when the defense is getting tired, and that's when he usually breaks out for big runs. And so I'm not sure if John Harbaugh just didn't realize this or if he's just, I don't know what his thought was. But this happened in the Super Bowl too, or not Super Bowl, the AFC Championship game. When they were playing against the Ravens, they abandoned the run then too when it was working. So I don't know if they just kind of get in their heads like, oh man, the Chiefs are up by us. We better stop running the ball. I know there's 2 quarters left, but we better start passing. That can be the only explanation I can think of as to why they would stop running the ball. But for whatever reason they did, I'll be thankful. I'm thankful that they did because it probably helped the Chiefs win. Now the other side that they did struggle to contain Lamar Jackson, but most of those weren't even design runs. They were just him scrambling out of the pocket. He had 122 yards rushing on the ground, so for sure did not contain Lamar Jackson in that game. And honestly, Lamar Jackson is the only reason that the Ravens were even in that game. Not that they don't have talent on their team, but Lamar Jackson, which he was just playing lights out, and especially with his scrambling ability, he was keeping his team in there. And so, we talked a little about the corners. Like the corners are the area of the defense that I'm most concerned with this season. After losing L'Jarius Sneed, having somebody else step up, and now McDuffie moving out, who's going to cover the slot? Um, and so, honestly, our secondary held up pretty good. There are a few parts that they can always obviously improve on, but they did pretty good. But the flip side of this, let's remember we're playing against the Ravens who don't have elite receivers, and that's not uh, not something that I say to look down on these Ravens receivers. I mean, hats off to them. They made the NFL. They're much better than I will ever be or even dream of being, right? But they don't have a Jamar Chase on their team. They don't have a Justin Jefferson or a Tyreek Hill. They don't have an elite uh, receiver at all. Like even this next week, we're going against the Bengals. They have Jamar Chase. They have T. Higgins. They have 2 good receivers that are both better than anybody that the Ravens have on their team. And Zay Flowers might turn out to be that guy, but right now in his career, that's just not who he is. And so that said, the corners held up well against this subpar, maybe not par, but not elite receiving core. And so I'm interested to see how they hold up against some of these other teams as the season goes on. But the other side that I'm always concerned about going into the season was getting pressure on the quarterback, and we struggled with that again. And I know maybe Lamar Jackson's the outlier where every team's going to struggle to get pressure on him. And we got some pressure on him, but even when we had him in our grasp, it didn't seem like we could really bring him down. And so that's an area of concern for us. When a Minihue comes back in a couple months, it might look different. But the flip side of that, when Minihue comes back, maybe he's not ready to go in football shape quite at that point. So, but that's something definitely to think about and maybe worry about a little bit. But the defense definitely had a bend don't break mentality in this game. They gave up 452 yards of offense to the Ravens, which was the most in the NFL. But they did hold them out of the end zone and held them to only 20 points. So if you hold a team to 20 points or fewer, that's pretty good. So the Chiefs have still not allowed a team to score more than 28 points since last year. So even last year, it didn't hold. No one's able to score that against them. So pretty good. So offense now. The Chiefs offense, man, I so believe that this team is going to lead the league in scoring this year. I know right now you're like, Andrew, that's kind of crazy because they only put up 27 points, and that's only 11th best in the NFL for week one. And I get you. But keep in mind, the Chiefs had a lot of missed opportunities in this game. There was a wheel route to Pacheco that was thrown over there that Pacheco missed it. If he hadn't gotten a touchdown, it would have been at least a huge gain. That would have been some more points right there. Samaje Perine had a pass out in the flat where if he catches that ball, there is nobody in front of him. And that is a long touchdown he's going to score. But it was slightly out in front of him with pressure on in Patrick's face, but still got to make that catch, right? So if he catches that, another touchdown right there. Chris Jones had a sack fumble, and the Chiefs got the ball in great field position, only to go backwards and end up with field goal. Got to get touchdowns, right? The red zone offense is still a struggle for the Chiefs. That is something that they got to fix. And the run game struggled to get going for the Chiefs. So not a good outing for the Chiefs offense in the rushing game, especially. Isaiah Pacheco averaged 3 yards a carry, but only 45 yards total for the game on 15 attempts. So 15 attempts isn't too bad. You kind of want to see him get a little bit more, but I am glad to see that they're not giving up on the run as easily as they might have earlier in Andy's career. So I like that. Here's something for it. Juwan Taylor, mid-season form, my man. Mid-season form, already getting penalties and false starts and everything else. And I know they're emphasizing this year in the NFL the not just the false starts, but the alignment and everything else and illegal formations. And Juwan Taylor, you're about the reason why they are emphasizing this rule. Dude, he has to clean these things up. Some of these penalties are coming at crucial times of the game, and they will in this later in the season for sure. And when they come at crucial times in the game, you can be taking points off the board. So Andy Reid, man, Coach Heck there for the offensive line, they got to get to him and help him clean those things up because he could be good if he can just simply avoid those penalties. So, but right now, not the case. But let's look at some highlights, some really good things that happened for this game. So the real easy one to talk about is Xavier Worthy, the one that everybody came in talking about, the guy who set the fastest 40-yard time at the combine this year. He touched the ball 3 times and had 2 touchdowns. That's pretty good. The very first touch in the NFL career, he goes for a rushing touchdown of 20 some yards. And so I'll tell you this, his speed is as advertised. That guy is fast. And sometimes you see guys that run fast, on the track or on a football field just going straight, but that doesn't always translate to game speed. And man, with Xavier Worthy, that's translating to game speed. And talking about speed on that rushing touchdown he had. So, Creed Humphrey, the center, just signed a huge contract extension, set another bar for centers in the NFL, highest paid center in NFL history now. On that rushing touchdown, Creed Humphrey pulls to the side and gets up to 15 miles an hour. For a guy that weighs over 300 pounds, running 15 miles an hour is impressive. I don't care who you are. That is impressive. So, hats off to you, Creed. But the one weakness for Xavier Worthy is his size. I mean, he is not a very big guy. Man, needs to put on a little bit of weight and some muscle. And that's going to be his biggest thing and hurdle to get over this year. Because if you remember last year, even when we played the Dolphins, Tyreek Hill lined up against L'Jarius Sneed, and Tyreek Hill, who's not a small guy, he's not tall, but he's not small. That guy, Tyreek Hill, is getting manhandled at that line of scrimmage by Sneed, just getting his lunch money taken and letting it happen over and over again. If a guy of that size can get manhandled, man, Xavier Worthy, he's got to figure something out. And I really think that the Chiefs are going to kind of put him in motion a lot to get him going, so that by the time he hits the line of scrimmage when that ball is snapped, he's already at full speed and somebody's trying to catch up rather than trying to knock him down. So, but another highlight of the day was Noah Gray. Noah Gray only caught 3 passes. It seemed like he caught a whole lot more, but he only caught 3 passes. But he caught 100% of the passes that were thrown his way. So that guy just got another contract too, a contract extension. I believe he's making $6 million a year for 3 years, and so hats off to him. So Noah Gray is not going to be going anywhere else anytime soon. So good to see him step up. But then tight ends, right? Travis Kelce. So we didn't really see him hardly even targeted in the first half, and then he's targeted a few more in the second half, but he didn't really have a lot of yards. Ended up with 30-some yards. Has he lost a step? Is Travis Kelce just getting too old? What's going on? Why is Travis Kelce not getting those yards that he was getting so easily in the last, well, probably the last 7 or 8 years? Well, mostly it's not because Travis Kelce's lost a step. Mostly it's because of how teams are playing us. They're forcing us to go somewhere else other than Travis Kelce. And when that happens, guys like Xavier Worthy can get open and get touchdowns, right? And so Travis Kelce has not lost step. He's still going to have his big gains, but a lot of it's just going to depend on how teams are playing us. And so if they're going to force us to take Kelce away and go to somebody else, we'll do that. If they try to take someone else away, take the deep ball away, Travis Kelce is going to get his numbers that day too. So Travis Kelce's not lost anything. Don't lose faith in Travis Kelce. Don't think that he is just over the hill now and he's just not coming back. He's coming back. Don't you worry about him. But the other person, Rashee Rice. I mean, that guy had his breakout game. I mean, he had a few breakout games last year too, but this year you can see he's already taken a step forward in his game. Mahomes is very comfortable with them, almost like his safety blanket there. He didn't score any touchdowns, but he caught 7 passes for 103 yards. That's pretty good. Pretty good, I would say. So the other side is we also have a few new players this year. Or not just this year, but in the last couple of weeks, we talked about it briefly. Samaje Perine and Juju Smith-Schuster. They're with the team, only been here a week or two, but they both had significant playing time. Juju had a lot of playing time, only one target, but a lot of playing time. Perine had not as much playing time as Juju did, but you're going to see his playing time increase as the weeks go on, and he figures out our offense, figures out our protection schemes, figures out the all the routes and stuff, and all the offense. When he figures that stuff out, you're going to see Samaje Perine. His workload is going to increase. I can tell you that. And this next week against the Bengals, Samaje Perine used to play for them, so I don't know. Maybe it'll be a little bit of a revenge game for him. Maybe he's going to want to play a little bit harder that game. But the other thing, too, is Clyde Edwards-Helaire did not play in this last game. He's out for non-football related issues. I'm not sure what it is, speculating a little bit, but probably some mental health stuff because he came out very publicly a few weeks ago talking about how he struggled with that over the past, for a long time. And so that's kind of the assumption, is that he's out due to some mental illness things going on. So he's going to be out at least another 3 weeks. We'll see what happens with that. But prayers for him. Hopefully he can get himself together and get himself right and get the whatever help that he needs. So another person that we were missing this last game was Hollywood Brown. As we know, he had a shoulder injury in the first preseason game, the first snap of the preseason game. But he is expected to make a recovery and be back soon. So they expect that he might even be back as soon as next week against the Bengals. Or if not, then they expect him to be back the following week. So, yeah. So make sure you like, subscribe, and review this podcast. Man, we'd love to see you more here at the Kingdom Corner. That's how we get the word out to everybody else, is by what you do to help us get it out, by subscribing and by reviewing it. That helps the most, especially if you leave a review. So whatever platform you're listening on, there's is a way to review and like these things. And so do all those things, help us out as we move on and get ready for this 2024 NFL season. So this episode of Kingdom Corner is brought to you by Oh Hey Threads, where a portion of every purchase goes to support missions all over the world, one super soft tee at a time. They have Chiefs gear there, some t-shirts and stuff, as well as even some Kingdom Corner gear on their website. So you can find them online at ohheythreads.com. So join us next time as we're going to be previewing the Chiefs versus the Bengals as we prepare for that game. So we'll see you next time right here in the Kingdom Corner.